everybody, and welcome again to Backyard Business. I'm actually not in my backyard, but I'm in heaven, and that is I'm in the Phantoms locker room with two of the nicest people you'll ever meet, Jim and Rob Brooks. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. I just did, what you know, I did the earlier interview with the players, and great people, but you guys are perfect for this valley. I mean, I know sometimes when people come into the valley, and I know just this doesn't work, but you're just humble, good people, and do you feel the same? I mean, does this valley click for you? Are you glad to be here?
It does. And we've been in many communities, especially growing up, and then through this business, and we just feel so welcome here. We both moved our families here, and our families are being raised here, and everybody, they feel real comfortable here.
And what people don't know, Jim, you have been in other communities, and you've seen this world of professional sports. What is it that draws you? I mean, it's got to be the excitement. I mean, there's games, there's seasons, it's got to be a crazy but exciting way to live.
It's great, especially here, because with the arena and everything, it's what Rob and I really set out to do, and that's make a full commitment to our community. And what we can provide through this project has provided so much to us inside, and just to see what it means to everybody in our community. We have graduations. There's really something for everybody, right? Like concerts, family shows, and of course the hockey too.
You know, that's a great point. And that is that I'll stay with you and come back to that is that concerts, graduation. We had the basketball that I'll never forget the night we had, and it still goes on. We had the Allen, I think it was Allen Emmaus, or it was packed to the, and it was just so exciting. And the court, did you always have a court? Did you always know you were going to be doing some basketball?
We did. We set out saying there's something for everybody. We want to have all these kind of different events. So in the building phase, we bought a basketball court. We got the design and everything too. Yeah. You would have loved it, Tony.
What is a basketball court? A couple $100, I would think. Yeah.
Well, it was great because one of the NBA teams had to order the court, but then kind of went back on it. So we actually were able to get the court.
So that's the crazy dynamics of. Do you just like the say the NHL or Major League Baseball? Do you have owners meetings? Where the whole AHL ownership group, or is that not as prevalent as the NHL, say?
We do, and we love our meetings because our league is really tight, our owners, and we've been doing summer meetings in Hilton Head, and everybody's encouraged to bring their families, and it's a tradition that's been going on for 70 years, and it's just, we know each other better than I think any owners in the league, any league.
Does it run the gamut? I mean, do you have to be, reasonably affluent to own a team? But some people don't. I mean, does it run the gamut in terms of who owners are? Some very, very wealthy, some just out of love and made it all work out?
Yeah, everybody has a different reason for it. It's every year it gets more and more expensive to enter. But, that doesn't change, the personalities that come in. And that's what makes everything. You think about a locker room. We're in a locker room right now. What makes a locker room great is the mix of all the different personalities, and that's what we have in our league too.
Yeah, and I think hockey players are, in generally pretty good to deal with, and I'm not always sure why. I always feel like part of it again is I mentioned the players. If you're a hockey parent, you're spending a lot of time with your children. I mean, you're showing the love because it's a big time commitment.
And a lot of these players moved out of their homes at age 14, and they had to live with billet families. So they had to grow up a little bit because they were living in someone else's home. So they had to be polite in that case. So,
what surprised you most about when first of all, we had Lee Butz at the annual meeting, which you guys know, and the commitment he had and all the people that built this structure. I mean, what was that like when you walked in here the first time? It had to be unbelievable.
It was, but back to the annual meeting, thank you for the recognition. Rob and I are really excited, but more so excited for all of our employees, because they work so hard to not to be recognized, but to put forth a good product. And so to get recognition for that, we really appreciate that.
Yeah. So, but again, when you stepped in the building, were you emotional when the first time you stepped in this building?
We were.
I mean, I was, and I didn't even own it.
And we had offices right across the street, so we looked.
That's right.
We looked at it.
I remember the office.
Every day.
Yeah.
We had a webcam that looked at it 24/7, but it was just different when you walked on site, right? And and you could kind of picture the fun and the smiles and the excitement before it was even built. So that's what it's all about for us.
Jimmy, let me get this right. Jim, I don't know how Jimmy came out of that, but it wasn't supposed to. But anyway, so let me get this right. Your dad, he got started in this business. Is that right? He also was very, politics. I mean, he was involved in the community all in.
He was, and he got involved because he didn't want to see a team leave its town. We were in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was going through a tough time in the 90s. Looked like the Pirates were going to leave Pittsburgh. And Major League team leaves Pittsburgh, probably not coming back, right? Yes. And so when Kevin McClatchy came in from California, said, hey, I want to buy the team and keep them in Pittsburgh. He had the same attorney that our dad had at his business. And he said, I'd like to support you. And Kevin McClatchy was looking for local investors to kind of help him navigate. And our dad did it not because he loved sports, because he loved the community. And that's really rubbed off on us too.
So it was Pirates. You started with the MLB Major League Pirates. That's where you started.
It is.
So you guys were like little guys running around the stadium, or?
So, yeah, we were younger. We were probably bigger than we were now, but we were in college, high school age when that all happened. 2 years later, the Penguins went into bankruptcy, and Mario Lemieux, who's the largest creditor, said, "That's right. I'd like to buy the team to keep it here." And so he approached our dad and see if he'd help him in the same sense, and so that's how we got started.
Not because he loved hockey, but he loved Pittsburgh, and all of our lives. Our father was a council member. We were always every few years kind of helping him at the polls, and then he was
into elections.
Yeah, and he was the mayor of our hometown until he was term limited. Then he was in the House of Representatives. So he just always cared about the communities he lived in, and he always told us, don't expect to live in a great community unless you're supporting it.
Yeah, I want to say just I just want to say we have a bunch of staff here. Would you agree some of the nicest people that we've ever give them a little applause. But they are, and such a commitment. And maybe that's why you've seen it from, because look, back then you weren't in it for profit. I mean, it was tough to make money. Today's numbers are a little different, but it was tough to make any money.
Yeah, it's a tough business, right? Like there's not a lot of margins there, but
so most owners. Well, when you get to NFL, that's a whole different. The numbers are insane, but really most owners, they're not getting rich off of it, but they love it. They probably made their living before they made this investment just because of love of sports.
For us, we get to work together every day, and that's the greatest thing. And our families, like Rob said earlier, we moved here, and our kids get to see each other as we all grow up. Yeah,
I'm thinking one of my most devastating things was when COVID hit. It was my bobblehead night, which I thank you both for. And of course, now I have a couple extra bobbleheads because it was about still half full, and I didn't understand it. I'm like, what? Then I said, Michael Bublé cancel. I told my staff, we got together. I said, the next day, I said, we're going to work from home for about a week, maybe two. And I missed it by a year or two. But that had to be stressful when COVID hit.
It was. And not only for your business, but, all the people that we have in our staff, and we care about them. We care about their families. And, it was tough. And it definitely took a lot longer than we thought, but we're happy to say things are coming back, and we're growing, and we're getting back to those numbers and events that.
Now is the time when you hear about spending, being watchful of spending, but I think it was PPP bump that business got. That got a lot of people. I know a lot. I have business of my own. That got a lot of people to the finish line, thankfully. Were you able to obtain that kind of a bump, for at least for the interim?
We didn't. Wow. But like Rob said, like we tried so hard to keep all of our employees, and we did that, and we were really happy that we could do some of those things, but it was a challenge. It was a big financial challenge. You talked earlier about that, and but hey, you have to have a positive attitude. Our attitude was, hey, let's look at this as an investment, just like you would invest in, some kind of other capital to help your business, and that's what we tried to look
Yeah,
at.
but you're right. How many employees you have all total between players and lots?
Yeah, when you factor in part-time and everything,
Yeah.
we're over 500 on our roster, so with the arena and the team.
I have to ask you just like a little kid question, but inquisitive. So you have concerts and meet a lot of really cool people. And so who are one of your favorite, who's like a performer who's just really nice when they come here and you love seeing them or her?
Well, for me, Tom Petty, and that was really neat for me, and
a good guy?
Glad we were able to.
And friendly, good guy? And we lost Tom Petty.
It was the coolest thing. I grew up Van Halen fan,
Okay.
and we had David Lee Roth
Sure, I saw him.
opening up for Kiss, and so we said, he invited us in the locker room, and he spent like 20-30 minutes with us just shooting the breeze. And I didn't know he grew up skating on ponds in the Massachusetts area and everything, and just to hear him talk like a normal human, like all of us, right? Like, it was so cool.
Yeah, they run the gamut. I remember our annual meeting, we had Tony Orlando one year, and he was such a friendly guy. I used to have to say, Tony, it's time to go on, because he was just so friendly and, so talkative. And by the way, one of the things that when you're booking an act, and there's competition obviously for that, is that correct? I mean, they can go anywhere. So you're competing. I would think that having the hotel, literally, like let's take an Elton John that maybe isn't quite, it's mobile, where he can literally go, there's not traveling. Is that an asset when you're trying to book an act?
It sure is, and especially Elton John. He opened his final tour right here, and so he rehearsed for 4 or 5 days before, and the group that they just loved being so close. Usually they have to stay at a hotel, get a taxi, get a cab. But here they just walked, and we've said in Live Nation and the different promoters said it's a real.
Will you sometimes have people that are when you said he's sort of had running the show for 5 or 6 days? Do you have to sort of keep some of that on keep that on the down low? I mean, is that part of what you do? So and so's here, he wants to be here 2 days, no interviews, nothing.
Right, they do ask us to do that, but it's hard with all the buses.
Sure, yeah. It's sort of a giveaway when you have 6 big buses out there. Yeah.
Well, just last week we had a group here that was rehearsing. They didn't play here, but they had 2 nights in Madison Square Garden sold out that they rehearsed here and then went there. So they loved all the different.
Well, so it's 10 years. The building's amazing. But when you said they rehearse here for a reason. So there's levels that you can invest in: scoreboard, sound equipment. Have you had to make reinvestment, say in sound, because your sound is absolutely amazing and they expect that?
Yes, they do. And we need to stay, like you said, we compete for these shows. We compete for the rehearsals. So we have to stay a step ahead of the others. And so we have the Iannelli Authority. We work with them on making sure that this venue is still relevant and in front of our competition.
Oh, beautiful. So I don't want to miss that point. And so sometimes I would assume you're investing, it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars, correct, in equipment easily. So you guys have sort of a public-private partnership which was part of the things that makes this work so well.
Right from the beginning, and we made capital investment up front. There were state issued bonds that Iannelli in the city really helped with, and it doesn't happen without that partnership. And on both sides, right? Sure. And we're really appreciative.
On both sides, you said you guys have to step up and they step up, and that's what makes it work. Yeah. So I look at this again, equipment today for players is absolutely amazing. We talked about $1,000 for skates and different types of uniforms and so on. And that's what you invest. But I wanted people to understand your relationship with the Flyers, for instance, maybe a little different than, say, the Iron Pigs might have with the Phillies. Are you more independent of or less? I think you're more connected. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. I think we're probably closer from the player perspective.
And they'll be going back and forth. I can remember, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I remember the Flyers their farm team used to be in Portland, Maine. So if you needed someone that got hurt, you need to call a player up the next day, they had to get here. They can literally, drive down the turnpike and be there in an hour.
Last year, we had a Flyer get sick in the morning. And our guy, because we're right here, he was in the lineup that night. You know, so the proximity is amazing.
Does he get limoed down, or is he just old school driving his car down?
A lot of times you get a service.
Okay.
But they have a limit of 23 players, and 20 of them dress for each game. So really, they only have a few spare players. So there's a lot of movement between us and the Flyers throughout the season.
What do you think of the top two guys? Cool guys, Danny Briere and Jonesy. I mean, relationship with them?
Absolutely. They're fantastic gentlemen. Everyone says, oh, they're nice guys. They really are. And even dealing in business and everything, they're the best. And we're really appreciative of what they do for us. Even earlier this week, one of the things that they did, we had a trade deadline happen. 3 players from the Phantoms got called up a little closer to their lifetime goal, right?
Yes,
But they did it in such manner that they're eligible still for our playoffs. They didn't have to do that.
Oh, I see. So will you see the guys when they're going down there? I mean, do you get to say, hey, good luck? And I mean, do you get to send them off? It almost makes me emotional. That's their whole life dream, and you're there with them.
Great. Yeah, it's great. We love that part. And, and every one of them, too, was just so thankful that they had this platform to get there.
Yeah. Conversely, when not quite as much, it seems like, say, in some other sports, but sometimes you'll have a pretty big name come here. What's that like, that dynamic? I mean, they blend in, but you want to make sure you're here to welcome them, or is that?
Yeah, the coaches do a really good job of that.
Yeah,
Lappy's fantastic. Lappy's had a long tenure in the NHL, so he immediately gets respect from all of them. I think that can't be understated, how important that is and how much we appreciate that. And so really, you lean on your coach to do that. Our wonderful staff here too. You saw our equipment managers getting everything set up. So,
He's probably out there now thinking, I wish they'd wrap up. I got, yeah.
No, it takes.
The guy in the pink suit talks too much.
Yeah, it takes an army to get everyone to stay engaged, and we feel like our team here does a great job of that.
Well, we're blessed to have you for 10 years. You think you'll be around for another 10? Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I guess what I bring that up, I do want to say this, that doesn't necessarily have to be a gimme. You do have choices, alternatives, but the community's welcomed you, and it's been a good public, private, and community partnership so far. And we all have to do it together. We have to be here. Business have to support you, and it all kind of works out. But it's an important asset.
Well, we're fortunate. We have a great business community led by the Chamber and you, Tony, and we can't say that enough, how thankful we are for that. Businesses rely on other businesses, right? Especially in our industry. Sure. And we're really fortunate to be in this community.
Yeah, so support them, come to games, look, things are going great. They don't need it. But just a reminder again that, you're good people. You moved here. This is your life, and we're all in this thing together. And would you agree? What a great show. Great people. Thanks for being at Backyard Business. Thanks to these two amazing guys. And we'll see you next week.